Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you gotta get spotted. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Well, man, I still feel tired and sick. But hey, we got a day today. We got Canadian central bank this morning. So we'll see where things go. But I think that this market, I don't know if it's the best trading for this market, but I think that there's probably a lot that we can learn from this market, because like you don't really have anything really moving on, and so you just get to see what people do on their own, like how they're really feeling, right? And how people are really feeling is I think they're still bearish, right? So let's come over here to the charts. Loading this up here. So in the Treasuries, we have dug ourselves a pretty tight range now, right? We since this non-farms, we've just kind of been trading within that, and we haven't been able to test that downside at all. Overnight, we did have a little bit of a rise. So at the end of the day, we did rise a little bit. Okay. Rates coming back towards 3.5, which is like not a vote of confidence in the economy, right? And then you get over here, the S&P 500 moved down quite a bit yesterday. This thing sold off quite a bit. So I see a market that's selling off on recession fears, essentially, right? Coming over here to oil just, getting hammered all the way, man, overnight, almost 72.6. And the Biden administration wanted to fill the SPR at 75, right? So that whole situation is going to be interesting. Gold and silver, they're going sideways. They're actually not doing too bad, all things considered. And copper are also kind of mirroring that, going sideways. We got Bitcoin. A little bit of a sell here this morning. Don't know what's with that. There was a big tether print, by the way. I've heard 70, I've heard 75, and I'm not 100% sure which is the real number. Either way, they're close, right? And then the dollar. The dollar seems to have some support at 105. Still kind of trending a little bit higher, but much off of its earlier levels from last month. This is basically where we're at. So, for me here on the trading, well, that move right there, I think, kind of ruins all my plans, because I'm thinking that rates need to be a little bit higher. I'm just, when I look at the overall look of the market, it doesn't all quite fit. You know what I mean? Like, the market that I see right now is, we're going to go into a recession Q1, Q2 of next year, and they're selling everything off before we get to it, which is pretty much the default case at this point, isn't it? I mean, that's basically what all of the economic projections and economists are saying. Okay. But then, like, how do we get there? Well, the way that we get there is the Federal Reserve raises interest rates too much. Yada, 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 yada. Okay, well, the Federal Reserve is raising interest rates. Why? Because the economic indicators continue to be really strong. So it's like, I just don't see how all of these things can simultaneously be true. I guess it could kind of plays out in its own, like, self-fulfilling prophecy fashion, right? the Federal Reserve raises interest rates, and then it causes a recession and they pull back. But like right now, the interest rates are not acting like they're concerned about what the Federal Reserve is going to do. And if the Federal Reserve backs off, then you're not going to get that recession. And then that kind of like destroys the whole reason that anything is happening, you know? So it's just kind of... But seeing the Canadian Central Bank this morning might give us a little bit better insight into how this all plays out, yeah? Hopefully. I would expect that the Canadian Bank... Well, I don't know. Let's not try and make any predictions. Let's just see how it goes, right? Maybe they come out a little bit hawkish and we see if interest rates raise on that or not. From the Financial Times, Sam Bankman-Fried's FTX reached the late stages of negotiating a sponsorship deal worth more than $100 million with Taylor Swift. But talks with the pop star fizzled out just months before the exchanges fell. Oh man, Taylor, you dodged a bullet there, hon. Wow. Wow, Taylor. Good on her. I'm proud of you. I don't give a crap about Taylor Swift, but I'm proud of her. Didn't get in bed with FTX. There's another little rise. I mean, right now, it looks like rates going higher. Or I mean, sorry, not rates. The Treasuries going higher. Which is kind of, well, I mean, we saw a little bit of both yesterday, and it just kind of fizzled out, wasn't it? We'll see what this one does. Does this one have legs? I think I wanna get my feet under me a little bit better before I even try and take a trade. I do feel a little, man, yesterday. So I've been studying for this Terraform test that they want us to take for work. I think I'm pretty good on track. I set the test up for tomorrow, and but I took like 4 practice tests yesterday, and that was probably too much. I was so exhausted by the end, you know, I was exhausted for like the rest of the day. And I feel a lot better this morning, but still kind of tired. So I think I should be careful. If we take a trade, you know, and it ends up being a really stressful trade. Well, wow, that was a really aggressive flow right there, pushing them back up to the high. Wow. Maybe it's better to just go along with it. I don't know anything about Morocco, so the only thing I've seen about Morocco in the news lately was that they had a little bit too much fun when their team won a World Cup game. That's about the extent of it. It's saying it's gonna go. You know what? This is not the situation to play that trade. But that looks like a reload to me, man. Morocco produces most of the world's nitrates for fertilizer? Really? Well, their economy's in for some trouble then, because all of the European countries are trying to move away from nitrates. Yeah. Isn't that like the whole thing in the Netherlands, is that these farms use too many nitrates and so forth, and fertilizers, which produces a lot of carbon. And since their farms aren't efficient enough by the government standards or whatever, they're going to take it away from, you know, they're just gonna, I mean, they're gonna pay them, but they're gonna take away like 3,000 farms or something. It's just like nuts. That, it's not like, you know, because I'm not in the Netherlands, so it's kind of hard to find too much about the issue and stuff, but that whole thing just bothers me so much. That over in European countries, they're just taking farms that have been in people's families for decades, and they're just coming and taking them away. Like your whole livelihood, like your whole life, your whole family's life for generations. They could just come in and take it away. This is like such a gross violation of property rights. It's just it's insane, and the Europeans are just like nonchalant about it. This is going. There you go. It did. Maybe now I could take the reload trade, but man, something is moving this. Labor costs was lower than expected. I'm not sure that's what's driving this though. In France, the people are very mad at our president because we might have electricity cut off, and patients that need the most assistance aren't sure to be him. Oh man. Well, the power thing is frustrating too, right? Maybe I need to make a list of Seth pet peeve issues, but the way that the left does not get to claim that they are the scientific ones as long as they continue to oppose nuclear power, right? The reality is that the Democrats base their decisions just as much, if not more, on emotions than the Republicans do. And every time that they come out and they try and act like everything that they do is science-based, it just pisses me off. It makes me ooze with hatred for the left so much when I see that crap, because they're full of shit. They're in every case where we're coming in and we're looking at like scientific evidence, they come in and they try and put pressure on the scientists to say what they want them to say. This is not based on science. They try and control science is what they do instead. They try and force science to appeal to their political sensibilities is what really happens. Because I'm totally down with science. Look, everything that we try and do here is, what makes us unique from other channels on YouTube, at least, is a more scientifically based approach, right? But what the Democrats do is not based on science. Otherwise, they would be putting more money into nuclear power. Okay, so I was saying I don't think that you take this one, but there was a level break set up at 11. Sure enough, they took off there. They have come back to 11 already. So they're at the scene of the crime. We'll see what they do. This buying spree that we've had here feels like it's kind of coming out of nowhere. Think Elon exists? Well, I mean, we don't have enough power to fuel all of the electric vehicles. The energy and pollution that's created in mining all these rare earth minerals for oh my gosh, did my headphones just broke? Oh, that really sucks. That really sucks. Oh, hopefully it's just the cord. Hold on. That frustrates me. I really do hope it's just the cord. Because if it's the phones themselves, that's I've only had these for a year. These are pioneers. They're supposed to be sturdy. Yeah. I don't even think they make these headphones anymore. There's probably a reason for that. We need fusion reactors. Well, there has been some pretty pretty wild developments in nuclear fusion lately, hasn't there? It's starting to sound like, because they always keep saying nuclear fusion is 10 years away, right? But it may actually be 10 years away now. Okay, fingers crossed. This is the cord. Booyah. This chord's not as good though. Well, that's okay. This chord is not springy. It's okay. What new research has come out? Well, it's just if I recall correctly, I'm trying to think, what was the headline? I think it was that they had successfully generated more power than they put in. Like they found something that actually generated power. So apparently a lot of it is just like finding all of the little efficiencies in it all and stuff. There's been some, let's see here. Let's just go to Google and see if I can get anything to show up in Google News. Nuclear fusion news. Well, there you go. Here's an article just this morning. How far has nuclear fusion power come? We could be at a turning point for the technology. Let me blow my nose first. Did you hear Elon on Twitter the other weekend? Are you talking about the Twitter files? Well, I mean, I talked about that the other day, but overall, the issue with the Twitter files, from what I've seen, is that everybody kind of assumed that they were already doing that. So it doesn't seem to be generating that many clicks today, which is very unfortunate. Okay, let's read this. Our society faces the grand challenge of providing sustainable, secure, and affordable means of generating energy while trying to reduce carbon dioxide emissions to net zero around 2050. To date, developments in fusion power, which potentially ticks all these boxes, have been funded almost exclusively by the public sector. However, something is changing. Private equity investment in the global fusion industry has more than doubled in just 1 year. Okay. Yep. In recent years, several fusion experiments have also reached the all-important milestone of sustaining plasma temperatures of 100 million degrees Celsius or above. In February, the Joint European Torus, the world's most powerful operational tokamak, announced world record energy confinement. ITER in France is 80% complete. He was talking about many things on Twitter Live. Well, I think one of the more interesting developments, I really think that the next evolution in technology that we're going to get is definitely going to be giving machine learning, putting machine learning in the hands of the regular person. So to me, it's kind of like this Chat GPT. Everybody's obsessed with Chat GPT because anybody can go onto this website and and type stuff to the bot and have it do stuff. And it can do like really complicated stuff too, like write programs and stuff. To me, because I've kind of been dabbling around in the machine learning, it's not as interesting. You know, I just get focused on what can it not do, right? But to regular people that don't typically have this, it's like a game changer. And yeah, so because of this, now there's lots of things that are maybe like trivial tasks that people just don't have the knowledge to automate, and they could come in and automate it. Yeah. So NNT calls that verbalism and says it's just yeah, so if you come in and you tell it like, make me a program about this thing, what it does is it goes out and it finds programming in that language on that particular subject, and it kind of generally knows what you're trying to get it to do, and it will kind of somehow combine parts of code that it's found to write something. And so the end result typically is that whatever it gives you won't compile, right? You would still have to know programming and what to do, but it's, you know, it's only a hop and a skip away from maybe being able to write functional code, right? But it's just, I mean, the whole thing is basically what it's doing is you're training it on these data sets, and it's able to combine data sets and see how those data sets can be combined together into something that at least from initial inspection looks correct, but it's usually, you know, at a deeper level it's not, right? So I think a lot of people overhype the technology. I think new software tech could literally be dreamed into existence. You're probably not going to make the next big social network with it, okay? You know, but I think there are some things that are maybe like more basic stuff that you know, are like a trivial task for a programmer, but a regular person doesn't know how to do, and now that you might be able to stumble your way through it. And it's certainly going to help for like you're trying to do research or trying to understand something, and you can have the robot trying to explain it to you and stuff. I mean, because one of the things that I think is really cool is you can say, explain this subject to me, but like explain it like I'm 5, or, you know, whatever style you want it to do it. Here, let's try it. News skating up. Blockchain doesn't help you scale. People seem to not understand. Blockchain is exclusively about decentralization. It creates something that nobody can control, but it can be verified, right? It's a decentralized verification. That's what blockchain does. It is not scalable at all. The way that quote unquote blockchain works is very not scalable. Hold on. sometimes I get emails about like jobs and stuff that just sound ridiculous. Senior software engineer, NFT trading platform, 500K total comp. Nothing. I don't believe you. So first of all, I don't believe you. Second of all, I don't want to be involved in NFTs. Apparently I have to wait for it to send me a code. I think he's totally right. But I mean, there's a lawsuit, right? So I don't know if it really behooves us to spend a whole lot of time trying to argue it, right? Do you know what the 3-part test for a security is? Maybe I should read it out of my book. To identify whether an investment is defined as a security, state and federal authorities often use a 4-part test described in the U.S. Supreme Court decision of SEC versus W.J. Howie Co. The 4 required elements are an investment of money, which you are doing when you buy XRP, in a common enterprise. XRP is supposedly a common enterprise. I mean, it's a token that's printed by that company with the expectation of profits solely from the efforts of others. So this is the place where they might argue otherwise. Or they might be saying, I mean, you get the token, and it's a token created by them. The token does not entitle you to anything. Like, it doesn't entitle you to a part of the company, etc., 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 right? So, in that respect, they argue that it's not a security. So, I don't know enough about XRP specifically, but some of the things that I saw out there, that like these coin offerings that they were doing on Ethereum and stuff like that, were securities. Some of the things straight up were securities. I really feel that you're funding somebody, like straight up, if you're buying a token and that token goes towards funding an enterprise, it might not be explicitly defined as a security, but it should be regulated as such. You should have, because like, really, what is the whole point of it being a security? Is that it has to be registered, and there's all of these hoops that you have to jump through in order to be able to actually do a registration like that. And then you have obligations afterwards and stuff, right? So you're coming in and you're investing money in an enterprise to help these people out, even though I guess you don't necessarily have any expectation that it'll make money other than that it will continue to get popular. I don't know, the whole investment thesis on it kind of gets sketchy, and I don't know why people buy them, but you see where it's going. Like, why should the regulations be any different for it, right? So what I keep hearing from the cryptocurrency community is, well, what we do is different, and so we shouldn't be held to all of the same laws. And what I continue to see is that maybe technically you're different, but you should be held to the same laws because you generate the same problems, if not worse. Then why we put these laws into effect, right? You should not be able to, print this tradable asset without doing proper disclosure about it, about your company, and saying you're funding our company and not have to disclose stuff. Okay, that shouldn't be allowed. You shouldn't be able to solicit funds from people and then just disappear the next day, which has happened in a lot of tokens too, right? So that they do the funding and then they disappear. They don't ever do anything. There's no accountability, etc., etc., etc. It shouldn't be happening. It's a scam. It's a blight on our society. And all of these people arguing that we shouldn't regulate the cryptocurrency, the only reason they're saying that is because they want to make it easier to scam you out of your money. Crypto space will be, no. Man, so I really want to know what's driving the buying here in the treasuries this morning. Currently, there aren't many use cases. So, riddle me this. Mao. What application of the blockchain are they going to make that they couldn't have already made in the last 10 years? You realize, like, 10 years is a really effing long time. It's been a really effing long time, right? If there's this great use case, why haven't they done it? You know, the use case that I keep hearing is like, oh, it could be, you could use it for concert tickets. Okay, cool. Why didn't you do it? You know, there's actually been like 3 or 4 startups that have tried to do that in 5 years. That's what they said 5 years ago. Seriously. Like this is the issue. Doesn't do what they say. The cryptocurrency community at large is ignorant of the actual technology, how it actually works, and what it is really capable of doing or not doing. Okay? So, using a blockchain as a settlement mechanism for an exchange, that's a valid use case of cryptocurrency, of blockchain, and they're already doing it. Okay, the banks have already been doing it. They've been working on it for years and years and years, and it's already a thing, and it will just only become a more important part of their settlement networks, probably. Okay, that's like a legit use case, right? Concert tickets, there's problems with it, right? It needs to be a full-on crypto-based financial institutions, but there are. What do you think the FTX was? What do you think Tether's supposed to be? Man, I tell you what, this move that's been going up, pretty impressive. I'm just kind of sitting here on the sideline because I want to see interest rates rise. Now they're at 3.5. Makes no sense to me. What's buying it? This is a really aggressive buy. Did I miss something? I mean, it could only have been something in the last 40 minutes. German state of Baden-Württemberg tells citizens to immediately cut energy use to avoid imminent blackout. In 30 minutes, we'll get the Bank of Canada. We had the labor costs. It could just be that labor costs number. I don't know. Did they facilitate lending? Yes. The whole thing here, Ayla, is that they went in and they had their own security that they printed, and then they said it was worth X much, and then they used that money and they lent it to all of these different people, and then those people lent it to these people, and so there was this whole ecosystem of financial services in cryptocurrency with DeFi. It was called DeFi, right? That was based on this token that wasn't worth what they said it was. And when it came in and it turned out that the money wasn't there, and people sold it off in a fire sale and that whole ecosystem collapsed. I mean, it would be interesting if there was a crypto-based financial institution that was actually like registered as a bank. But why do you think that they've never done that? Think about this for a second. What gives things value? What gives things value? That somebody else is willing to buy it from you? I think that's a poor definition of value. I think that I could come in and I could develop some like game-changing technology, right? Just absolutely crazy game-changing technology. And the world would be so stupid that they wouldn't see that it's a game-changing technology. So so nobody wants to buy it from me. So is it valuable or is it not? I say that things have value regardless of whether or not other people recognize that it has such. That's my argument, okay? Things have value regardless of whether or not people can see as such. And why do I say that? Because if something has value, it can still produce for you, right? You might not see the value in owning land, but if I, develop that land and produce food or if I produce product from it, then the land is valuable. And it didn't matter that you couldn't see that, right? The reality is that the cryptocurrency ecosystem does not have value outside of other people thinking that it does. That's the long and short of it, right? So there's this idea, right, that the cryptocurrency will replace fiat. That's their dream. That's their dream, is that it will become a medium of transaction that will become the basis for world settlement transactions. It's a fantasy. It's pure poppycock. It wouldn't work. The Bitcoin is not capable of doing that. Essentially, there's like serious problems with how it works. That first of all, like it just can't even support the number of transactions and volume and so forth that needs to be put through it. It doesn't have any privacy put in with it, right? And then on top of all of that, it's a deflationary asset. So anytime that you have a recession, Bitcoin is going to go down. And if your whole economy is based on Bitcoin, then guess what? You're fucked, right? Because there's no way to stop that cycle of always going down and down and down and down. Right now, Bitcoin, it works because why? Because it's not the settlement, right? The dollar is, and everything is about switching Bitcoins for dollar, right? It's only worth something because somebody's willing to give you dollars for it, and that's it. Because if the United States made it illegal to buy things with Bitcoin, it wouldn't be worth very much because you wouldn't be able to get people to give you money for it. Lucas. The argument that I made is the same argument that Warren Buffett made, right? But he's right. He's right. Cryptocurrency doesn't have any intrinsic value. The only intrinsic value that it has is the ability to make a transaction, and it's not really that good at it. So it's not worth much. There's some value in it, but it's not worth much. And all of these pie in the sky dreams about what it's going to become, that they're not going to happen, because people would have already done it if these were really like legitimate use cases. So there's probably going to need to be a major evolution, probably in the form of a central bank digital currency, before you see any kind of like viable innovation coming out of blockchain technology outside of, you know, a settlement. Outside of like its exchange settlement. Like really the exchange settlement that like the New York Stock Exchange works off of, is that whole system is so archaic. It could be so much better than it is. Like it shouldn't. I think that they could potentially like settle everything within minutes, not 3 days. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I didn't work in the back office. I know a little bit about how that worked, but it just seems 3 days seems ridiculous to me. I think that if we had the right systems in place that allowed for like a decentralized ledger, that you could do it within minutes. Currency of last resort. Now, an interesting one was Posar had a note out that Zero Hedge was going over, and Zero Hedge's reading of that note was Russia will make a gold-backed currency, and it will throw the financial world into a tizzy fit. And I don't see it. I don't see it. Like, why are you gonna transact with Russia? I don't see it. Can you? You need to rephrase that, Lucas, because this makes no sense. To get it executed while being above below market. Are you saying make a stop that will go both ways? What did Micro ZN do? It moved against me yesterday. Like almost immediately after I got in, it moved against me yesterday, remember? Stop buy can be placed above market. It can. Or sorry here. There's stop buy, there's stop sell. Right? But I think that oh yeah, that was a volume stop, you're right. Zero. After I exited? Oh, well. I didn't really do, you know, I turned it off and didn't really watch it after that. But, then you come over here and look at it like on the volume profile, right? It didn't really go much of anywhere. Later in the day, it moved up. Like way, way long, like towards the close of the day, it moved up. So us looking for rates to rise, it didn't ever happen. And it's not happening today either. So the market is being driven by something else. I remember the error you're talking about, Lucas, but I don't remember how to make it happen or why it happened or any of that. It had some sort of bizarre thing to do with, like, a certain data provider didn't like it being done that way. Guess I should drink a little bit more because my snot is getting thick. It kind of looks to me like the treasuries want to go higher. No, well, I'm stuffy because I had the flu. I've had the flu over the last week. From Wednesday to Friday and now this week. You heard the TS... I didn't watch the World Cup, but I've heard that track before. You haven't gotten sick since before COVID started? Ew. Well, hopefully you don't get sick. Hopefully you still have a strong immune system. I think that a lot of what happened was that people's immune systems have been compromised from all of the lockdowns and stuff. And the kids in particular. Because now the kids are just spreading absolutely freaking everything around. Man, I don't know about this. I mean, I think the only trade that you can make is go long, but I'm really looking for a answer here. I don't. Whistle? No, there's no whistleblower. What do you? I was going off of the Nick Timmerow story, and my reading of that was that we could see higher interest rates, but the market didn't respond. That trade didn't work, and now here this morning, the market's being driven by something different, and I'm not sure what it is. But they seem to be buying incredibly aggressively. It is accompanied by a rise in the Japanese yen, and we are seeing the dollar fall here. I'm really not sure what it is. It seems like I'm missing something really big. I mean, maybe it could be U.S. labor costs revised 2.4% versus 3.05, but the market just seems to be like it's going real differently. I still never got my OpenAI code, so I give up on that. Let's come and see if there's a new story on Zero Hedge that might. Federal Reserve unveils climate risk proposal for big banks for public comments. Future slide is recession fears Trump China reopening. No. You just watch next time Nick posts a video. Tends to move the market. Did move the market that day, and I just kind of thought that there would be more follow through, but it wasn't. Can't win them all. Can't wait for Trump to start ramping up his campaign. Why he is so anxious to start that stuff up again, man? I think that when it happens, you're probably going to be like, oh, I miss those days when nobody cared. There it goes again. It's going again. I really, you know, with the Bank of Canada up in 15 minutes, I really don't think that this is a good spot for a trade for me. But this is going, man, and it's going real strong. This makes me a little bit nervous for the equity markets, though. You thought about working in NinjaTrader as a software developer? You know what? That would be a great idea. I mean, if they asked me, I guess I would. They'd have to. I mean, for me to work for NinjaTrader as a software developer, I would probably have to move. So they'd have to pay me a lot to do it, right? I don't know if it would make. I don't know if. It's like, I'm kind of in a difficult spot, to be honest. You know. Yeah, they're in Chicago. I think it'd be really hard to move my family to Chicago. So like I'm kind of in a tough spot where I have some really valuable skills, but you know, the people that can really make use of them are gonna want me to live somewhere else. So you know, we'll see if somebody comes along. I got contacted by a recruiter yesterday that was interesting. I don't know, so I submitted it. We'll see how serious they actually were, because another thing that's kind of weird is that I have like a really wide breadth of experience in the software development. So I've done the full stack of it. I've done developing applications. I've done the QA portion of that. I've done the DevOps portion of that. I've done the cloud portion of right, like I can make the application, put it out, deal with the whole kit and caboodle, right? So you might be interested in a software developer, and you go, well, he's an SRE. It's not really, you know. So we'll see what people do. But I'm on LinkedIn constantly, not because I hate my job or anything like that, but just because some of the best information about markets and machine learning and stuff is on LinkedIn. So I get contacted by recruiters a lot and stuff, and I'm almost never interested in what they're submitting to me. As strong as that uptrend was, it is being awfully. There's deep pullbacks on it. It's an awfully sketchy flow. It has been about net 20,000 contracts though. So you didn't. I got to give my opinion on the Trump thing. Okay. Like here's the thing, because I'm a Republican. It was really clear to me early on that Donald Trump was going to win, and so I was just kind of along for the ride, right? Since Donald Trump lost the election, he has really lost the script. Like he keeps making dumb move after dumb move. Like it really is like. And I think that a lot of what has happened is that his base is different from the rest of the Republican Party, and I guess in some respects you wouldn't even call them conservative or Republicans, right? And after he lost the election, those two parts kind of diverged. And these people that stuck with him have become extremely out of touch with the rest of the country. And Donald Trump, he's getting all of his feedback and the way that he does social media and everything from those people. And so you keep seeing him make like bad mistakes, right? Foolish mistakes, like having Yi come over and Yi bringing that his white nationalist friend and all that nonsense. That was like a really bad mistake, and Republicans have all been hating him for it. And then he said like, oh, we might even have to like suspend the Constitution to fix all of this. And later he came back and said, no, that's not what I said. But like the reality is that what he posted wasn't thought through very well, which is very typical Trump. But like usually it works out to his advantage, because what he's really trying to say, like his larger message was bigger, right? Resonated with people. Like here's the real issue when you look at society. I saw this TikTok the other day, and this guy was saying, well, you know, like there's no wonder that millennials are having such a hard time, because everything in our society is set up against them. And then he starts talking about taxes. I'm sitting here like, guys, if you're making $50,000 a year, you're not paying taxes. It's not the taxes that's holding you back, okay? And it's not that the government needs to give you more from the taxes. That's not the problem. The problem is that all of the good jobs, you ship them overseas. And then you increase the costs of everything. You didn't build enough houses, etc., etc., etc. That's the problem, okay? Donald Trump understood that problem and spoke to that. And that's why people resonated with him, as they said, they pushed all of the manufacturing jobs overseas. They didn't build enough houses. It's that, you know, made everything too expensive for us. And then government monopolies on education made that worse, right? That was a winning message. Now his message is, they stole the election from me and we have to fix it. And everybody's over it. Like that's a problem. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe the elections are rigged and there's no way that a Republican can ever win another election. But the reality is that the public's over it. The public's over it, and they're not really interested in adjudicating it or whatever you call that. What they want is they want to fix the issue, and they don't want to deal with. We've seen like what does the left do about it? They don't do jack shit, right? So I don't think that Donald Trump is going to do very well in the primaries. Like straight up, I think by the time like debates come along, nobody's going to be interested anymore. They'll have already heard it, and he'll just be annoying in the debates. Like when you're not fully on board with him, the way that he behaves at the debates is actually very grating. So I don't think he's going to do very well. And I don't think he'll even win the Republican nomination. Maybe that's wishful thinking on my part, but yeah, Democrats can run a can of Pepsi and still. There is definitely something to be said behind the fact that the Democrat strategy was 100% like this, based on mail-in voting, and Republicans have ignored it, and it hurt them. So you have to deal with that first. And I don't have a master's degree. The GOP is basically dead. I don't think that it's dead. Here's the problem with the GOP. Okay. The general ideas and principles are correct. Generally speaking, are correct. But they have created an ecosystem around the Republican Party that basically only allows them to do one thing, and it's not the thing that we need. Basically what's happening is these politicians like Mitch McConnell, I think, is a really great example, because people keep saying Mitch is not conservative. Mitch is very conservative. Okay, he's about as conservative as they come. So why does he keep making all of these decisions that piss everybody off, that piss all the Republicans off? Why do Republicans all hate him? Well, what it comes down to is Mitch is fighting the last war, right? The Republicans are still fighting the battle of the 80s and 90s, right? The battle of the 80s and 90s was that Ronald Reagan made a really big changes to the tax code that really helped things, and then they wanted to go a step further and really improve the tax code and make it simpler and everything. But Bill Clinton was president, and so the best they were able to do was to reduce the deficit a lot, and then they kind of never got past that. And so then the Republicans, they passed these tax cuts that were kind of like only temporary and the Bush years, and then there's that whole thing that extended through Obama, right? So it's been this battle over taxes for like 30 years, and now they don't know how to do anything different, right? So what is the Republican strategy? Like, if it had been a presidential year, let's just say that 2022 had been a presidential year, okay? What would and it was like the Republicans think that they're going to be complete control. Like, they'll have all three parties of the House. What is the argument that they're making to the public? What they're going to do when they're in power, right? What would it be? Because I don't know what the policies are, right? Did they really talk about it? The only thing that I know that they would do is they would try and reduce taxes. Well, I don't think that taxes is as good as supply side stimulus. It's not the same thing, right? So that's the problem with the Republican Party. They don't know how to do anything else. They don't know how to do anything else. And you go and you look at what happened in the UK. That's where that leads. That doesn't work. You need something more than that, folks. In 5 to 10 years, the GOP will be supporting everything it opposes today. Don't worry. Things are going in the direction they need to go. People are a little slow because you got all of these people retiring right now, right? But things are going to have to change, and I think that certain people are starting to understand where that's going, and that we need to improve local supply chains and local governance and things like that. And I think in the long run, the politicians will figure it out, but it's not going to be Donald Trump. Just probably it's not. Well, I suppose I could go short the Treasury here. We're about to have the meeting though, so let's wait. But maybe I'll take a sim trade. Okay, what about radicalism? So, I think the reality is that individuals are not as radical as it appears. Media over exaggerates that sort of stuff and focuses on it too much. I think that social media is a strong driver of all of that, right? Always go full margin. Come on. I'm kind of interested to see if they do retrace. I'm thinking it might happen. It's just that move was so fast that a reversal is much more likely. And the thing is we don't really know what caused it. But let's just see the Bank of Canada thing. I think that when we get the announcement, there will be some movement. Okay, so here's the open. Have you shorted oil? I messed around with oil a little bit last year, and it didn't go very well for me, and I don't think that I'll ever touch it again. At least not from the futures. I'll kind of keep an eye on this and maybe buy stocks, but you say it's extremely easy, but it's a very volatile instrument, and it's very difficult to trade. I need to not play with this cork because I'm just gonna bend it and stuff. They said oil will go to $60. Okay, so you realize you're talking about a $20,000 move in 2 days. Have fun. Don't blow your account. Is it not? Is the Bank of Canada? Oh, it's at the top of the hour. It's not at 7:30. It's at the top of the hour. Well, that doesn't help. Yeah, oil's at 74.5 right now. Well, what is it exactly at? 74.62. Listen, if you're coming into trading and you think that something is easy, you're probably wrong. What would USA be like with Trump and Kanye president? I don't know what's with Kanye. A lot of people are saying Kanye is having like a public, blow up, like mental health crisis. Like I don't know enough about him to say something like that, but he's definitely like pushing crazy stuff. Him doubling down on anti-Semitism really. It's just like I don't know what's going on. I don't care. He's what he's saying is false. Okay. I don't know if we should really dive too much into that one. I guess we will. I guess I still think it's an act. Well, he might be trying to play that game, like, to get attention. Anti-Semitism is making a comeback. What's with that? And the thing is, this is not like a right-wing thing. It's. I see the anti-Semitism on both sides. But I thought that, Republicans were pro-Israel, and it's like all of a sudden this anti-Semitist faction is just kind of crawled up from the depths, and become more prominent. I do think that it's probably the case that you have a small group of far right radicals that are pushing it, and that it's not really as widespread as you think. Like, you'd be surprised how just a dozen guys on the internet that are really dedicated can shift the conversation, guys. It really is like insane. People are just so influenceable in that respect, especially when you're getting into subjects that people don't understand, and when you're exploiting issues in human logic, right? So like the one of the issues that you have here in human logic is that the differences within groups is greater than the differences between groups, right? So if you come in and you say one racial group has a higher IQ than other racial groups, the issue with that is that within one racial group, you're going to have people that have a super low IQ, and you're going to have people that have a super high IQ. So when you have a distribution that's that wide and is fat-tailed, the average doesn't tell you a darn thing. Doesn't tell you a darn thing. So when you say this group has a higher average IQ than this group, it doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. And it's completely useless for making any kind of a prediction, right? So you come in and you want to predict what somebody's IQ is, and you know their race. Their race gives you is absolutely useless in predicting what their IQ is going to be. Okay, like that's the way that it works. So all of these things that you see out there that are like these kind of racially based sort of things, it's just nonsense. The statistics do not back it up, but the humans are wired to think that way because humans are very good at seeing like normal distributions, right? So a human thinks, well, since the majority of the crime is done by a certain racial group, that must mean that if I see somebody that is a part of a racial group, they're more likely to be a criminal. And it doesn't work that way. It gives you absolutely no predictive power at all. Know what their race is. Absolutely no predictive power at all. But regular people don't understand the statistics and just fall into that trap every time. And it's the same thing with anti-Semitism. Okay, so with the anti-Semitism, they're saying, well, there must be some conspiracy or something, because how do Jews have so much control and power? Well, first of all, they don't. But second of all, the main reason why you see that they say that representation among the elite of Jews is higher than their percentage in the population, not in their locality. So you have to remember that like something like 20% of white people in New York are Jewish. Okay, so if you just take a person in New York, you go and pick a random person from New York that's white. Okay, 1 in 5 chance that he's Jewish. Right? Okay. So, yeah, they should be about 20% of them, and that's about what it comes out to for industries that are centered in New York, which is finance and media. And that's why. That's the only reason why. There's no conspiracy, guys. It's dumb. Right? But people don't understand this, and there's these people online exploiting that. It's really disappointing. And Kanye apparently has fallen for a hook, line, and sinker. Well, the S&P 500 on the initial drive here is going higher. Lower interest rates. So equity markets rally? I don't know. This is all a little weird to me. She arrives in Saudi Arabia for MBS red carpet treatment. Kingdom has learned the hard way that the US cannot be relied on consistently for a report. Dude, if he makes a deal with China and they start doing things with China, that's going to be like a real slap in the face. Notice how most men that got involved with the Kardashian family went crazy. I don't know what's going on there. I don't have any comments on the Kardashian. I don't follow it. Well, now I'm seeing a move in corn. Corn and gold is jumping. And we're at 3.46. So like when this started, we were like, oh wow. Have we really moved 10 basis points on this trend from nowhere? I am really flabbergasted. Well, it is a Wednesday. There's that. Do you agree that when the news is out, it's already too late? No, absolutely not. Markets are not informationally efficient in the least bit. So it can often be the case that a piece of news will come out and it's not properly reflected in the market prices for days, weeks, months, years. The whole thing is there's this idea that the current market price is reflective of all information, and it's not. It's a reflection of the orders that were placed into it, and the orders do not perfectly match up with the information. In fact, a very, very large portion of the orders that come in are really just, for all intents and purposes, random. There's no informational content behind them whatsoever, right? So that means that you're going to have plenty of opportunities where, the markets move in a certain direction contrary to what they should based on the information. So it's not true. I mean, when you get a news release, the market's going to move pretty quickly. But there's still opportunities. You just have to have a sophisticated enough analysis to be able to separate the noise and the information out from each other, right? That means that you're going to have to follow the news and the information that's coming out and the fundamentals. And you're also going to have to follow the flows. You're going to have to follow things that are not informational, right? To see what end of month rebalancing and options and all of these other things are doing. And so that you can do the analysis and say, this move was because of this move was because of this, and be able to identify when those inefficiencies exist. And since most people can't do that, because they believe that the market is informationally efficient, right? So that means that there's plenty of opportunities to take advantage of it. And the trick is to just understand when you have that advantage and when you don't. So as of late, let's say here in December, I don't think that we've had that advantage yet. I've been looking for a situation. I thought maybe we had one yesterday. We didn't. Here today, the market clearly seems to know something that I don't. Because I am flabbergasted that we just dropped another 10 basis points. That is pretty crazy move. Maybe it's all in preparation for Bank of Canada. I don't know. Maybe the Bank of Canada is going to come out and say something really bearish. Dovish bearish. This is going to be, one of the things that we got set up is next Tuesday is CPI, and then we get the Federal Reserve meeting the next day. So that's going to create a lot of chaos. And then if the let's say that CPI is high and the Federal Reserve comes and raises interest rates 75 basis points, then the rest of December is just going to be a bloodbath, right? But right now, the market is saying the opposite is going to happen. I'm still looking for a reason for why they might be buying, and it's just not seeing it. What's the best software for automated trading? Okay, so if you're really serious, you probably want to make your own platform, to be honest with you. If you're really serious, you probably want to make your own platform. But if you're just starting, I think the easiest thing to start out with is NinjaTrader. I think most automated trading happens in Python. But I think that the NinjaTrader setup in the backtester is really, really good. You know, it's a good introduction, at least. You're going to come in and do all of these technical analysis setups and find that they don't work, but it's a good start. So we did get pretty decent pullbacks and all, but oh wait, what's going on here? Need to recenter this. Liquidity is a little light in the micros outside of the 10-year. How to make your own software? You would want to select a data provider, find out what APIs and stuff they have to connect into, and work from there. Yeah, this move just doesn't make sense to me. So I think I need to really just sit on my hands, at least until after Bank of Canada. Oh, that's a good feeling when you kind of feel it blocking. Like what I get is it's not in my nose, but like I can feel there's something back there kind of blocking my air passageway. And then you blow it out and then it's clear. Feels so good. So good. Twitter pretty quiet this morning. You know what's been funny about Twitter? So I saw this the other day. It was a TikTok. I don't know if he put it on his YouTube, but Graham Stephan made a TikTok and was basically like, you know, ever since the Elon Musk takeover thing, I've been using Twitter more. And Twitter is like when it is the best place to get news if you know who to follow. And you know what? He's totally right. You follow the right people. Twitter is the best. Really is like the best place to get news. That's the place to sit with your, you know, it open while you're on the market, while you're trading. While after getting a pretty decent initial boost on the open in the S&P 500, it looks like bears are taking over. And the volume is pretty decidedly turning to the downside. We'll see if the dollar comes back here. It really does look to me like that this move in the treasuries was driven primarily by the dollar. So if the S&P 500 starts turning risk off, it might push more flows into the dollar and cause these treasuries to come back the other way. It's kind of what I'm looking at right now. Volodymyr Zelensky named Time Person of the Year, of course. Would have told you that 9 months ago. I'm kind of having one of those moments where it's like, it seems to me like now is not a good setup for us, but I want to make a trade. Like, I'm afraid that I'm gonna try and force something here. So you think futures are moving the dollar, not the other way? Well, I'm not entirely sure I could say why. So the dollar moved without the S&P 500, right? So I don't know why the dollar moved. There might have just been a big transaction of something that doesn't mean anything, for all we know. But if the S&P 500 starts selling off hard again, that's definitely going to have an impact, right? So in other words, we might not have any idea why the dollar moved moved down. We might not know why the dollar moved down, but we might have something that can predict that it's going to move up. And maybe it retraces some of that. If they break these session lows, it'll probably accelerate a little bit, but I'm not sure that we can read too much out of it other than that. Treasuries are falling here. And I'm seeing the dollar rise. Yep. Well, this 18.5, 19 area in the treasuries should be interesting because that looks like kind of a key positioning for a bunch of people. So we'll see how that goes. I think it might make sense for us to clear things out here. And meanwhile, we got about, what, 7 minutes to the Bank of Canada decision? So why can't every central bank have a website like the Bank of Canada asks to do squawk? Oh my gosh, I still got stuff in my nose. Still seeing net selling in the 10-year. Say it's still a little tepid, but there's definitely flow coming in that direction. Are you gonna take a trade? I don't know. Guess it depends on how the Bank of Canada release here comes. I feel bad for whoever's watching the camera right now. Oh, this poor sick man. All right. I had to pick my nose. While I wasn't picking my nose, I was like hawking up a lung. There's what it was doing. I got some stuff stuck in the back of my throat. It's just not coming up. Need more water is what it is. Yeah, I do have an air purifier. I have a really good one. Doesn't help with a viral infection though. 50 basis point hike. That makes me feel a little bit better, but still doesn't explain all of the upside action. What I see is just a very illiquid market after that, largely. They did sell it though. Sell the treasuries at least. When you look at action like this, you know, your brain sees it went up and it kept going up and it kept going up. So it thinks, oh, all I needed to do was know that it was going to go up. So I could have taken a trade anywhere through this and made money, right? But the way that we need to think is, what are the flows going to be? So we just had an up move. Does that mean that there's going to be more flows? No, we don't know. It depends on why that flow is coming in and how many orders it's actually going to take. Since we didn't know that, we have no way of knowing whether it's going to continue going up or not, right? And that's how we're able to keep ourselves out. But it sure is hard to look at it move 10 basis points and not do anything. Bank of Canada raises policy rate by 50 basis points on Wednesday to 4.25%. Statement: looking ahead, Governing Council will be considering whether the policy interest rates need to rise further. Tweets Nick Tamaros. Three-month rates of change in core inflation have fallen, indicating that price pressures may be losing steam. Well, there was definitely a lot of movement, damaged liquidity in the micros looks really bad at the moment, but overall, we haven't really moved too much since the Bank of Canada decision. I need to keep talking. It's the vibrations in my head kind of loosens the mucus up. Blah. Bank of Canada data since the October monetary policy report back up the bank's prediction that growth will essentially stall through the middle of 2023. Well, we could try doing some market making here. I'm not a huge fan of this particular price for it. We're worried we might get stuck here at 22. Okay. Greetings from Finland. Uh-oh, they didn't hear us talking about them yesterday, did they? We didn't really say that very much. I only said that Scandinavian countries are still, somebody's saying can't Scandinavian countries are very capitalist, and I said, well, they're still very left-leaning politically. I was seeing some of that upside. I was like, oh, they're getting to my prices. It came back down too fast. Hum. I'm looking at this liquidity and the micro 10-year. Yeah. It kind of looks like it's all retail traders. Okay. Yeah, that is interesting. Oh, whoops. Whoops. Okay. It's getting a little fidgety, isn't it? I'm feeling a little fidgety now, to be honest with you. I think the way that this one tends to play out is that they get stuck here. Like it's shifting back and forth and making it look like we're about to have a move. And I'm not sure that that's actually what's going to happen here. They went that 3.48. They went bid and offer on that like a bunch though. And now the spread is pushed down quite a bit. So they're really making you pay up, which is kind of dumb. Use micros, you get a better deal if you were to sell into this, which is I'm seeing a little bit of buying coming into the 5-year. Okay. So I just heard over the news squawk, Putin, the threat of nuclear war is increasing. And the Treasuries sold down really quick and then back up and really quick. So I this move right here is probably nonsense. What the fuck? Is this for real? Is the market really doing that off of Putin saying threat of nuclear war is on the rise? They keep provoking him. I can't believe that's what it is. Are you kidding me? That's nuts. I have not seen a move like that in the Treasuries in a long like a panic bid like that is just nuts. That is nuts. Thanks for messing up my trade again, Putin. Yeah, well, you know what? You're probably gonna get a good reversal off this, I bet. Darn, missed it. That whole move was nonsense. Well, he's getting cornered, so what do you expect? I don't know. I don't think he's gonna use a nuclear weapon or anything. Like, come on. Looks like micros might be a little disconnected here. So fine, plus 10. I'm probably gonna regret doing that, but I don't like that the micros are not really moving here. Like, you see that? This moved, this didn't. There it is. There's my 10. God. 4, 5, 6. Still would be waiting. So I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I do kind of suspect that these could fall back down. Like with the way that played out. If they come back into this 22 area, I think they could probably trade through it and start trading to the downside. You never know what a dictator. I'm trying to think of how we put this. Still be waiting. Who are we talking about on Discord? Oh, him, yeah. Well, so first of all, I haven't been paying too much attention to Discord the past day or two. Just been really busy. But well, let's see here. Maybe we do have an opportunity here to help him. There it is. There it is. It's kind of surprising to me that I only made $10 off of that. I was trying to get it like here. I was thinking about it. I was a little slow on the draw. It's a little slow on the draw. This is so funny. Like, so the when you look at the equity markets, it doesn't look like a big deal, but the treasuries definitely like went nuts there. And the funny thing was that it kind of like sold at first, but then they're like, no, this is like risk off. We buy the treasuries. Okay, they did it. Everybody did it, and then they're like, oh, okay, like nobody cares actually. Came all the way back. It's still acting. I don't know if I would have actually have gotten hit. Like I haven't, no volume has gone off at 3.461. So. So it'll kind of move and make me think, oh, okay, maybe they are gonna turn down, and then it just stays where it is. I know, like other people come in and then tell them things that don't really actually help. Well, Toby's not an idiot, but I think that we need to go to a more basic level for this guy, right? Yeah, sure. I guess it's fun on demo and be mad over losing. What's the... There it is. That it was more the move I was looking for. Do you think I should have held out? You think I was too nervous about it? Well, the thing I'm worried about is I think this is still an ongoing thing. Plus, the trend has been up for the day, so I was also a little bit concerned about if it'll really continue down or not. But I would have gotten filled there at least. Well, let's say I could have made 25 off of it. So I would say it wasn't a very efficient entry or exit really, but given the market conditions, you can't ask for too much anyways. $10 I guess is okay. Made up for what we lost yesterday. Yeah, it is hard to anticipate. I really did think that they were gonna at least come back to this 24, right? So I really could have held on. But the issue was that like the level 2 here didn't seem to respond incorrectly. Like I was seeing this going down and this wasn't moving, and that made me nervous. Because last time that happened, it didn't work out very well for me, did it? Probably needs to come over to the stream. It could be. I do get whiny when I lose, don't I? Or I can. You know what? I haven't done it in a long time because now when I lose, I know why, right? And there's no point in me whining about it because I just, you know, the one yesterday it was definitely the sort of thing that kind of makes me tilt because it's like, okay, as soon as I get into it, it starts going the opposite direction. That really makes me start to feel like that the market is specifically trading against me. Because I mean, how much worse of a trade could you possibly get? Must have been something with the 30-year there because look, now they're back to 26, but now we're at 4.61, which is what I thought was appropriate. That's where it was like, okay, the first time it touched that, I was like, I should be getting 20 bucks and I'm not. What the hell? But yeah, it's like, well, no, not because I wasn't able to predict the future orders, but because like when I feel like that the market is baiting me or something, right? It's like I get into a trade and then it immediately goes the opposite way. It makes me think somebody's watching and, you know, they're trading against me or something like that. But now I understand. It was like, well, the thing that I thought was going to drive order flows that day just ended up being a non-factor. And we were trading in pretty dead market, and I picked a really bad price to buy in at, right? So of course it's going to come back. And the reality of that trade was that I was actually like really lucky that it didn't come back a lot further given the volatility of the market recently. They only lost 10 bucks on it. Okay, pushing down a little bit more now. See, I'm not sure that flow really could set up a situation where like they sell off below like the 19 area. Let's say below this distribution in 114.20. I think that's a real possibility right now, but I don't really know 100%. I'm not super confident on that one. The issue is that I don't understand why the market was bid all morning, right? Surely it wasn't because they knew that Putin was going to say that, right? I don't know. What are your guys' theory? What are your theories for why we had such a strong move up in treasuries and fall in the dollar? What was the driver of that? It could have been some sort of a geopolitical play. You know, like maybe not necessarily that Putin thing, but it could be somebody with inside information in the currency markets, and that's what caused the treasuries to move. surely something's going to have to shift in Ukraine, right? It's been like 2 weeks now since the Russians have been like not defeated, but you know, had that major base losing retreat. But seems like you know, the US has been doing this, or the Western nations have been doing this thing with the oil cap now and everything. It seems like now would be kind of good timing, or let's not say good timing, but it's probably about time that Russia would respond on the economic warfare front. Did gold move up on that? No, they didn't. In fact, Treasury was the only one that did it. Oh, that is so interesting. You know Uzi's take on the possibility of nuclear war. Well, you know, we didn't really get into it because I'm not quite sure. I feel like I have like a good, convincing argument. I mean, my argument is basically, you can't come around and say, okay, this guy has nuclear missiles, so let him do whatever he wants, right? All that's going to do is just convince everybody else that they need to get nuclear missiles. And then you have a real problem, right? I mean, it's already a real problem with Kim Jong, right? So, and really, I still see what's going on in Russia as bluster. I mean, sure, he might be crazy, but you remember that it was reported that the U.S. or the West had insiders that were very much against nuclear war, and that if Putin were to order any kind of a strike, they would assassinate him. Yeah, remember, no one thought we wouldn't. That's certainly true. I don't think I've ever been more blindsided by a geopolitical event than that, man. I was like, oh, they say that they're gonna do it, and everybody's like, but it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna, like, I didn't say that. I said, we'll see, right? But it happened, and I was like, wait, no, it actually did happen? What? Never been more surprised and blindsided by a major geopolitical event, for sure. It was really surprising to me that he did it. Yeah, for sure. So is that an argument that he would use nuclear weapons, and we would incorrectly assess the possibility of him using nuclear weapons? Well, here's the problem. I think there's two problems, right? Number one is that I think that the US can stop it if that's the way that it is going, right? But number two is it wouldn't help him at all, right? Like, I think to be Putin and to actually use nuclear missiles, you have to be thinking, I'm going to die anyways. I might as well just screw over the world and put my name in history by, you know? That's what I think would have to be going through a person's mind to be using nuclear weapons at this point, because there's no strategic or tactical advantage in Ukraine to using a nuclear weapon. I mean, it's not that nuclear weapons are useless. It's just, this is not the appropriate situation for it, right? So that's another reason why I think it's extremely likely. I think that instead, what he wants to do is he wants to scare people, right? What Putin, what the Russian strategy is, right? Just look at what their propaganda arms put out and what kind of messaging they put out. What they want you to believe is you're fighting for the wrong side, you're going to lose, and the threat of damage to you, that you're going to lose things, that it's going to be bad for you, That's what Russia wants you to believe, right? So what did they do? They come in and they make all of this stuff about, how the Ukrainians are really, really awful and they need to be stopped, right? That this is fascism that's going on here, right? And, they make economic threats and nuclear threats so that people in the United States are afraid to continue supporting the war for fear that it will be damaging to the economy or that we'll pay some sort of a price for it, right? So of course you come in and you do the bluster, but like from a tactical perspective, it just doesn't make sense that he would use one. Yeah, so that's why I doubt it. But I don't think that argument would be convincing to Uzi, right? If you're concerned about pushing him too much, right? How do you? Like it's not like he knows something that I don't that lets him know that that's a problem, right? It's a tendency in how his mind tends to work compared to mine. That's kind of hard to overcome if I'm trying to convince him. But like that's exactly what Russia is trying to prey on, right? Nick Timmeros, economists who have been anticipating lower inflation are now more confident in those forecasts because new apartment lease rents are decelerating. This will eventually feed through to U.S. inflation gauges, but not immediately, says Nick Timmeros. But you are right that Putin could do crazy things. I'm just pointing out that if he's at that point, he basically has a death wish, right? Usually what happens after a news event like that is like tomorrow they'll come out and they'll be like, well, we weren't saying that like we're gonna have plans to shoot a nuclear missile anytime soon or anything. We're just making our nuclear policy clear, right? I'm reading some Discord stuff here. Oh look, you can do server subscriptions now. I feel like we could make our Discord a lot better in that respect, but I'm just not quite sure what we would offer. What's truly concerning is the fact that this all depends on the decision of one. Yeah, well, yeah. Well, that's what I was saying again. Like, there are people inside of Russia that, if they were getting to that point, have supposedly said that they'll come in and stop it. So maybe it's not up to one man. Oh, that helped. US 30-year Treasury bonds trade up 1% from previous close. Is that really 1%? ZB is almost 1%. It's a really massive move. Like, can you come over and let's start like looking at, well, okay, so that's kind of interesting actually. How that played out was it did breach like some of the, so that was definitely a stop run then. That was reached some critical levels out of nowhere. There was some panic covering and then it settled back down to kind of the same non-farms prices. From a daily perspective, you can see it right there. From a daily perspective, you can kind of see how it's like, it's a very, very gentle upslope. This could still very much turn down. If the circumstances, you know, called for it. Like, say, CPI next Tuesday ended up being really bad or something like that. Microsoft announces Call of Duty deal with Nintendo. Oh, I did see that yesterday. I don't get why that's, well, I don't get why they didn't have Nintendo before anyways. It's kind of weird, but I don't think that game would run very well on the Switch anyways, so. By the way, when we had that move, there was like a strong panic bid for the dollar too, which is kind of a bit funny. Maybe that's why initially the Treasury appeared to be going the wrong way. It's because they were reacting to the correlation with the dollar. That must mean that some arbitrage bot must have gotten really screwed on that move. Yeah. I wish I had gotten more out of that, but that was a good trade in the long run. Like, that was as good of a trade as you could have possibly have gotten. I wish that I'd made 20, 30 bucks from it, but like in terms of a setup and everything, it was good. And we still got Thursday and Friday. Feel like the days are going by too quickly, though. The recession will be here before you know it. Right? It'll only be a few 3 months, and then it'll be like, you remember that day when GameStop was taken off and everything, and now today they're filing for bankruptcy, something like that. Oh man, have you been following that at all? So I started following a subreddit called GME Meltdown, I think it is, which is like an anti-GameStop cult subreddit. And basically, like, things have not been going well. Actually, let's come and look at a chart of them. It's so tough to talk about GameStop because it's basically like, I'm like, I don't think you want to be in it anymore. Right? Like, after the squeeze happened, there was a squeeze. I was like, well, best trade is usually the first trade is usually the best trade. I don't see a reason to be in the trade anymore. And many people didn't like to hear that. But lately, it hasn't been good. Well, okay, so it's not awful, but it is 23. It's as low as it's been in a long time. Languishing. As we have seen some pretty nasty days lately. Oh, we have earnings today. Is that before or after the market? And they were like laying people off, so could they be filing for bankruptcy in 6 months? Very, very possible. Let's take a look at some of our other stocks I've been keeping tabs on. Rare earth element resources still kind of been in doldrums. The materials sector hasn't been doing so hot lately. Zillow Group. That one has been doing pretty good, but not in the last 3 days. Banks really pummeled the last few days as well. You know, Goldman Sachs is looking really good. In fact, they came all the way back up to 380. That's amazing. I think they could get above 420 next year, maybe. We'll see. What's the other one that I look at? Sumo. Sumo kind of doing the same thing. It's just like down in the doldrums, not really doing a whole lot. You got like a great base, but doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. I guess we did have earnings recently, though. Let's go and look at that. Let's see here. Okay. Wait, they were up 13.11%? Wait. That was not what the chart looked like. Okay, maybe it was that day. Sold into earnings and then jumped and then sold off a lot of its gains. Shares of Sumo Logic, which sells analytics-based platform for application performance management and observability, rose more than 11% in extended trading after beating Wall Street's expectation with its third quarter results and offering an upbeat forecast for the fourth quarter and full year. The company reported a loss before certain costs, such as stock compensation of 4 cents per share, ahead of the analyst consensus of 11 cents. Revenue for the period came up, only 4%. Yeah, okay. Only 4 cents. That's not bad at all. Results mean that Sumo Logic has now beaten Wall Street's expectations for the 6th successive quarter. Investors were apparently not very confident of that, however, as Sumo Logic stock fell more than 7% during the regular trading session, only to rebound strongly in the hours after the report. Blah, 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 blah. Chief executive said the company will continue to emphasize efficient growth as it drives towards future cash flow break-even and profitability. Our unified cloud-native platform for reliability and security continues to resonate with our customers and industry analysts as more customers are seeking to provide best-in-class digital experiences to their end users. I really like their product. That's why I own their stock. Constellation Research said one of the chief factors driving Sumo Logic's growth is that software is rapidly eating the enterprise, becoming the lifeblood of modern organizations. As such, they need a way to observe, manage, and run their software reliably. Sumo Logic is one company that can provide these capabilities, and not so surprisingly, it is growing well. I'm getting another bid coming out here out of these treasuries, man. Do you think Putin would have invaded if Trump was the president? Probably not. It's probably not a useful thing to debate about anymore. Like the issue is that if he had invaded, would Donald Trump have provided the amount of support that Joe Biden has? I think that he would have liked to have supported them, but probably not. And Ukraine would maybe have already fallen already. So like, I don't know if would Putin have invaded or not. You know, it's not the only question, right? But probably he would not have. Probably Putin would have said, I think that I can continue to get what I want through political means somehow. I managed to become more profitable in the last quarter on a year-over-year basis, which is good, but it's worth noting that for 9 months of the year to date, Sumo Logic's bottom line is almost identical to where it was last year. So that means Sumo Logic still faces a challenge, and the team around Raman Sayar will either have to grow its cost base or cut costs somehow, or at least better manage the expectations of investors and pursue a longer-term path to profitability. Yeah, I think it could still be a while before they see profitability, but as more people move to cloud infrastructure and have to get more robust monitoring and alerting, I think that you'll see them continue to grow. I think that they're better than these competitors like Datadog and stuff, for instance. Sumo Logic's guidance in the next quarter and full year, the company said it's expecting loss between 8 and 9 cents per share in the fourth quarter, with revenue of range of 77 to 78 billion. So they forecasted good. Okay, interesting. It's time for you to go. Yeah, it's time for me to go too, so. So. On Putin comments. That was just you know what? Like, I wonder, I should go back and watch that and see like if I could have done something on that, because that was like a really crazy run, right? Yeah, maybe if I had been paying a little bit better attention, I might have been able to make something long on it. It was just such a nutso move. Or sorry, it was to the downside, wasn't it? Oh, still there was room. I think though that taking the reversal off of it was a better trade. And I could have made at least $10 more, but that's okay. Guys, I will see you tomorrow, Thursday. In the meantime, stay excellent, team.